What are your expectations for the Turkish Grand Prix?
Well, Turkey is for a tyre maker one of the toughest races of the year, if not the toughest. It's a very abrasive circuit, very, very abrasive, so the tyres are going to be wearing very heavily. And on top of that, it also has turn 8, which is one of the toughest turns in the Formula 1 season. The tyres put under incredible loadings and pressure. Well, the drivers are as well, but I have to worry about the tyres. And that puts the structure of the tyre under a lot of stress. So we'll be looking very closely at the tyres when they're coming off the cars on Friday. We have tested there recently and have good indications that we're fully in line with expectations, but there's no substitute for being actually in the race and seeing it. So it's a very, very tough race for Pirelli.
And how many pit stops do you expect?
Magical question. I mean, everybody's asking me that now. I seem to become the pit stop expert, but I've got 2 right and 1 wrong so far. But you would say, based on wear levels 4. However, we did see that in Melbourne and in Sepang that the evolution of the circuit was such that the pre-race predictions were reduced because the tyre is wearing and the rubber is going down on the circuit, which reduces the wear of the tyres. We have GP2 and GP3 as well running, which means there's going to be a lot of support races, which we didn't see in Shanghai. So I'm saying 4 to start with, but it wouldn't surprise me that we get back down to a 3.
And from a tyre point of view, what are the challenges?
Well, I've mentioned it's a very aggressive circuit. You know, the surface itself is very, very aggressive, abrasive. That means the tyres are wearing very rapidly. Normally you'd also have a lot of heat, but at the moment it's looking like it's rain and there's not going to be much more than 20 degrees there. You know, we've been in Turkey in the past racing at Istanbul Park where we've had 40, 45 degrees surface. So if you combine that with the abrasive surface, then that really is a very big challenge. But I'm hopeful that we won't have that. Although we might have the challenge of the rain this time, which is something we haven't yet seen in racing or in any of the free practices. So it might be the first time we see the rain tyre used. Then the final point is, of course, that turn 8 is a very fast circuit and a very aggressive circuit from that point of view. So the actual structure of the tyre, the support structure inside the tyre will be under great duress during this race.
And what about the new compound that will be provided on Friday? And when do you foresee we'll be seeing it on track? Well,
the new compound is a new hard compound. The idea is to add 3-4 laps to the life of the current hard compound with less degradation. We want to, if we can, introduce that from Barcelona. But I've mentioned there that we might have rain on Friday, so we won't have the opportunity to test it. So it might be that we have to go to Barcelona again with these same tyres and try and test there. But we'd certainly see it in Silverstone. If we can test on Friday in Istanbul, we'll see it in Barcelona.
The Turkish Grand Prix will be also at the opening round of the GP2 and GP3 series this year. What does this mean for Pirelli?
Well, GP3 was where our little Formula 1 project started, really, because that was when we got into single-seater racing again after a gap of many, many years. And GP3 is obviously the first step in the career of a young driver going or wanting to become a Formula 1 driver. So to have GP3, GP2 and Formula 1 all together is a great prestige for Pirelli, because it means we have all of the best drivers in the world, either in Formula 1 as they are now, or the future best drivers in the world who are probably in GP3 and GP2 coming through. We have our first GP3 champion, of course, Gutierrez, who's going to be racing in GP2 this year, so it'll be great to see how our first champion's getting on. And then, of course, our Formula 1 tyre tester, Roman Grosjean, who's doing the full GP2 season. So we have a lot of interest in the support races, but in fact they're really the incubator for the future Formula 1 champions. So it's always great seeing young talent coming through.
And after the first 3 Grand Prix, what are your thoughts?
Well, after the first 3, I guess, 3 very different races. Yeah, Melbourne was a big tension race, the first race, and there'd been a lot of talk maybe pre-season about how things would happen, not happen. And then we had a fantastic race where I think everybody was very happy. If anything, we were a little bit too conservative. You know, we could have probably gone there with the medium instead of the hard compound. But I have to say that overall, that was a great starting point. Then we went to Sepang, one of the most aggressive circuits. Again, similar to Turkey, it's a fast circuit, abrasive, a lot of temperature. You know, we hit 52 degrees track temperature on Friday, free practice 2. We didn't have the famous rain, the monsoon. That didn't happen. It's probably good, really, not to have that, because that would make it just a little bit too complex, I think. But we did have a good race, and then the third race was in Shanghai, was probably one of the most exciting races in recent years. I think in 2010 they had one overtaking manoeuvre, and they had in excess of 60 this year. I think the number of people have called to say, you know, what a great race, that was fantastic, has far outweighed maybe a few people who are saying, well, maybe this is, you know, slightly false and contrived, whereas, you know, all motorsport's contrived in one way or form. And I think most people want to see exciting action, they want to see overtaking manoeuvres, and they want to see people like Mark Webber going from the back of the grid and getting on the podium. Yeah, that makes for great stories, and it makes you want to watch the race. And of course you can't sleep anymore on a Sunday. It used to be you could watch the start. If there wasn't any incidents there, you could fall asleep, wake up in 2 hours, and they'll be still in the same order. But that's not the case anymore. You know, we're one element, of course, of the package between KERS and the rear wing that are assisting the overtaking and making things a little bit more lively. But the tyre strategy is proving to be, at least at the start of the season, a major element in creating some open racing.